Did you know that the iconic Sonic the Hedgehog wasn't the first choice for Sega? They experimented with other species, including the armadillo, porcupine, dog, and an old guy with a moustache. You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For all the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode number 71. My name's Gareth Bryan. I'm going to be your host. On my virtual left is Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
Hello. I'm alright, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I'm very good. We're recording this
Good.
for people behind the scenes in the afternoon for the first time, so it's a different dynamic. I quite like it. What about you, James?
I've just woke up.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. And on my virtual right is Mr. Darren Edwards, a newcomer to the podcast. How are you doing, Darren?
I'm very well. Good afternoon, gents. How are you
Good.
both?
Excited to be on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been meaning to come along for a while, so it's good that I finally made it, which is great news.
Great. And how long have you been with the Xbox Hub writing for us?
It must be about 2.5 years now since I first started writing for the site.
Good. I'm going to ask you some questions. So the people, the podcast people, all three of them, can get to know you a bit more. So I've got a few questions, really basic ones, nothing like. And we know your name's Darren. How old are you, Darren?
So I'm 30 as of a week and a half ago, so just turned.
Wow, happy birthday. And where do you live? Roundabout. Don't have to give the address. I'm not asking you for sort code or anything.
I'm in Nottingham, so in the East Midlands.
Ah.
What's your phone number?
Yeah. Begins with 0.
How's it start?
Favourite game, if you had to name one?
That is a very difficult question. I guess my favourite game at the moment is probably Forza Horizon 4. I've put a lot of hours into it, and I dread when I have to play Forza Horizon 5 and commit to the same level. But of all time, that's a very difficult one. I think the original Halo's got to be up there, so I'm probably going to plump for that for the time being.
Do you play the normal Forza? The Forza, whatever that's called? Forza Sports thing?
Yeah, no, not really. In fact, when I bought my Xbox One a few years ago, it came bundled with 7, and I sold it for about 40 quid on eBay. So, no, not really.
Not for you, no. Okay.
No.
Favourite film?
Very good question. I think the original Alien has got to be up there. A bit of a sci-fi fan. And that's just an absolute classic. So, yeah, that's definitely up there.
Good. Favourite TV series?
I'll probably have to go for Doctor Who again. Similar lines. Not so much these days, but back when it came back in the noughties with Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant, I was absolutely hooked on it.
Did someone else say that as well? We had another person on here who said that with Christopher Eccleston. James, can you remember?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I can't remember who it was.
Who was it? Wow.
Sure.
Must be the northern representation, I think, that did it for me.
Could be that, yeah. Also, if you're on a desert island, we'd like to ask this question, which I've nicked from Desert Island Disc, and you're allowed one luxury item, what would you take with you? So you've got food, you've got drink, limited, but you could have a luxury item, what would it be?
That is a good question. I guess it will probably be, seems it's handheld, my original Nintendo DS. I dread to think how many hours I put into several games on that whilst I'm travelling and at home. So that'd certainly stave off the boredom, I think, till the battery ran out at least.
Yeah, and you get no games. You just sort of stare at the screen.
Stare at the screen.
Remembering. James, you've got any questions for Darren?
No, I think you covered them all.
I've covered everything you need to know.
Thank goodness for that.
Thank God for that. Let's move on. Gentlemen, what have we been doing this week? James, what have you been up to?
Well, unsurprisingly, I've been watching a lot of wrestling, like I always do.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one particular a moment worth pointing out from the weekend, which was an exploding barbed wire deathmatch.
Okay, before you go on, what was this on? What kind of wrestling?
All Elite Wrestling.
Right.
It's an American promotion. And it was after 3 hours of great wrestling, and this was the last match. And you had barbed wire ropes, you had tables, barbed wire bats. It was brutal. Absolutely brutal. The blood. The referee had a full hazmat suit on, just in case. But the best part was the end, because if the match didn't finish within 30 minutes, the whole ring was set to explode.
Wow.
And they actually ended the match 5 minutes early. So, no explosion. But they went ahead with it. I said, you know what? Start the countdown. And they handcuffed one of the guys and put him in the middle of the ring so he couldn't leave. So we thought, oh no, he's going to die. His friend came out, dived on top of him to protect him, and then literally the explosion went off, and it was like sparklers. It was the most disappointing explosion I've ever seen.
Well, of course it is, because it's not going to be a real explosion.
But it looked horrendous. And the guy's there in the ring like he's dead, laying there, not moving.
Do you think they told him?
No.
Do you think the special effects people told him this is going to be really good? It's going to look great.
And he sold it brilliantly.
Great. Wow.
But I think someone's getting fired.
Great. That's James's wrestling weekly. It just gets more extreme. The next one will be in space.
You never know.
Yeah. Darren, what about you? What have you been doing this week?
So for Marvel Geeks, it was the WandaVision finale last week. So I know you're planning to watch it, aren't you, Gareth? So I won't give anything away.
Yeah, no spoilers for anyone, please. Yeah.
No, but I think it's definitely been a real success, a bit of a comeback after the enforced gap because of COVID-19. And I think it's not done the Marvel franchise any damage at all, actually. A bit of a kind of a gap and a break. Build up the anticipation again. And because there's going to be a slew of releases this year, if it goes to plan, cinematic, hopefully, and on Disney Plus as well. So, it was very good. It's very different. Really captures.
We haven't talked about it on here yet. No, so we haven't. And it's been on since January, hasn't it? So we haven't said anything about it. And James, you've seen some of it, all of it, have you?
I watched the first episode last week, and I thought, this is terrible. I'm not watching this again. But then I woke up Saturday morning and watched the whole series in one go. And it is very addictive.
Wow.
It is.
It's very much for the Marvel, well, like those are the geeks. There's so many Easter eggs that you can find it. It's amazingly addictive to watch it. And it's really good fun. The way they parody certain things.
So, I mean, without spoiling it, of course, and what I know from it, the only thing I know from it, it's got Vision, and it's got Vision, who was, spoiler, close your ears, who died in the last couple of Avengers movies. Spoiler back. And then, and he's in it with Scarlet Witch, and they're together in a kind of, they're almost like sight from the trailers are in a kind of sitcom world in the 1950s and then into 60s and 70s. That's all I know.
Yeah. It's a bit like a parody of Bewitched, and then later on it's more modern sitcoms.
Okay.
But yeah, it's strange because it's a very slow starter, but it builds up really well up until the end. And you're like, wow, I want more.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
That's
Because when you want it. Yeah. And now we can't wait for what happens next. It's when Batman turned up.
So does it feed into this kind of? Does it feed into sort of Marvel over? Because obviously they came to a point at the end of Infinity War where they stopped that storyline, and it's almost like we're starting again. But does it feel like this is the ignition for something that's going to start the whole next lot of films, the next lot of phase? Yeah. Okay.
It's the official start of what they're calling Phase 4. So Phase 3 of the cinematic universe ended with, it felt like Endgame, but then there was the second Spider-Man film that came after it. So it still deals with the aftermath of what happened, and then, as you say, sets it up for the future for the next kind of overarching storyline of the next few films and whatnot.
And are they saying, I'm asking you questions, you two here, are they saying that you need to watch the TV series and then or can you watch the next lot of films on their own does it matter?
I think you'd be able to follow it, but you wouldn't get the most from it. So I think when they talked about creating these series on Disney Plus, they did say they won't just be kind of afterthoughts or cash-ins. They will tie in closely to the overall universe. So you'll get a lot more out of understanding the characters and what's happening if you watch them alongside the films.
That's interesting, isn't it? It's really clever of them to do that. Rather than the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which had a sort of like connections, but it wasn't. You could have missed that whole thing. It doesn't matter so much.
Yeah,
they were just reflecting of what might have happened.
Yeah,
in the
films.
Isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Exciting. And so next for Marvel is Winter Soldier and Falcon or something. What's it called?
That's it. Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I believe it's next week as well.
Next week. Wow.
It's a great names here. One Division, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Wow.
And what's the next one? Is Loki, isn't it? The Loki series in May time,
yes.
isn't it? June. And is that it for the year?
I think there's potentially an animated series as well called What If that's
coming
back end of the year, and then it's interspliced with films that they still want to release in the cinemas. They're a bit hesitant to just drop them on a streaming service at the moment.
Okay, good.
Which is the first film? Is it Black Widow?
Yeah, Black Widow, which was supposed to come out last year, so everyone's been waiting for that for a while now.
James is not into Black Widow. I am. I'm really into it because I've just started watching all the Marvel films again, which I've said before in here, with my partner who's never seen them, and actually Black Widow and Hawkeye come out really well the second time you view it. I really enjoy watching them. James is not a fan.
I'm with you.
I'll rewatch it.
Yeah,
I'll rewatch them all again.
Yeah. Good. Good. I've watched this week. God, we've been talking about this week for the longest we've ever talked about. I've been watching this week a TV series called The Terror, which is on BBC iPlayer. If you've got it at the moment, it's an AMC American production with Ridley Scott as producer, and it's a 10-part series that the BBC have got now, so you can watch it all for free on iPlayer if you've got it now. And it's set in 1849, and it focuses on a group of naval officers from Britain who are trying to find the famous Northwestern Pass on the Antarctic. So they're in the Antarctica with two ships, one of them called the Terror, and the ships get stuck in the ice, and a strange creature is stalking them from outside. And that's the premise of it. But it's really, really good. It's a really interesting kind of document of that time, of that kind of like sailors, and about that whole thing about them going out to these places and having to be sort of landlocked for 3 years before they either get rescued or try to escape, and it brings in this kind of myth as well of these kind of like Inuit tribes and their kind of creatures and the shamans, and but also it's a kind of document of like, you know, British soldiers, the British Empire, which was going out and claiming everything as their own, or slaughtering kind of whole groups of tribes, or it's a really interesting. It's really good. It's really, really good. I'd recommend it. Yeah, very good. I've only got one more episode to go, but yeah, that's worth a watch. But games, that's what we're here to talk about mainly. What have we been playing? James, let's start with you. What have you been playing this week?
I'm playing loads of games.
Oh,
for a change.
Yeah.
And it's not been Rocket League or Gems of War.
Good.
It's a nice change. One in particular that I played was Under Leaves, which which is a hidden object game. And basically, you have to find items for animals in these lovely watercolour painted scenes. It's quite relaxing. And so you might have like chestnuts to find. You've got to search the trees and the leaves to find chestnuts. Or the seabeds, searching the seabeds for seashells. It's just really therapeutic. You just sit there, stare at these lovely paintings, and find some objects.
And that's it.
It's fun. Yeah,
Sounds nice.
I mean, that really is it. And it's really well designed. Like the colours are fantastic. And it is really relaxed, but it's quite hard. The items really blend in to the environment quite well.
Oh,
You can be
okay.
there for ages. There's a hint system, but if you use that, you get no achievement at the end for not using hints.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, it's a good little hidden object game.
Good.
Quite family friendly.
It
Yeah,
does
I like
the animation, and we reviewed it. I think, didn't we? Think maybe David
Yeah,
reviewed it.
Yeah, I think
Don't know
we're
what-
reviewing, sorry.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know what he gave it. I can't remember. So
3.5?
3.5, maybe.
think.
Yeah, is that fair enough?
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing special, not good.
Under the Leaves. Darren, what about you? What's your first one?
So I played a great little game called Kill It With Fire, which I reviewed as well. And essentially, you are a exterminator, and you're in a town, city area, wherever you find yourself, and you're infested with different types of spiders. But you find a whole arsenal of weapons to take them down with. So it starts with the not too ridiculous, like frying pans and stuff, but you can work your way up to unlocking RPGs and flamethrowers and C4 packs. So it's delightfully ridiculous. It's great fun. Just brilliant. Just great to jump in for an hour, and it doesn't take itself too seriously as well. So really enjoyed it.
Is it like a physics kind of game, like Iron Bread and stuff like that? When I looked at the trailer, that's what it felt like to me. But it isn't like that, is it?
It's I suppose the thing I can liken it to most is a bit of a hybrid between a point and click and a FPS, I guess. So you have to go around and complete certain objectives on each level. So it might be you have to find certain items or take out a certain number of specific types of spider, and you unlock all sorts from little baby spiders to ones that explode when you shoot them, and it's a bit of exploration and a bit of combat as well. So point and click is probably a closer kind of match genre-wise, I think.
What do you give it, Darren?
I gave it 4 out of 5 in the end. So it looks like that there will be another one at some point, or at least some extra stuff for it. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they take it next.
Kill It With Fire. Yeah, it does look good. I've played a game this week called In the Rays of the Light. And it's not out yet, but we got no embargo. He checks.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm
You're
positive.
positive.
Yeah, I've streamed it anyway, so hopefully it's okay. It's coming out, I think, next week. I think on the 17th sometime, I think, of March. Maybe I've got that wrong. But it was based on a game called The Light, which came out in 2012 on PC, and it's a Russian single maker and a composer. And it puts you in... You basically you wake up in an abandoned building, and there's nothing to tell you what to do next. There's no tutorial. There's no kind of instructions. You literally go out of the room and you see on the wall a flashlight that's taped up there, and it just says The Light, and then you just take the flashlight and then you're off exploring. But luckily, this world you're in is not that huge. You're in this kind of huge building. I'm not even going to say what it is because that would spoil it. A huge big building, and there's a kind of outside area you can explore. and you're basically trying to find clues to what you're meant to be doing, what you were, what this place was, and it looks a bit like The Last of Us, the environment. So you can look at it, and everything's abandoned and run down, plants are overgrown, coming through the buildings. It's really brilliant. I loved it, and it's going to take you 2 hours to do, and it deals with some really kind of like heavy themes of what it is to be human, mass extinction.
Wow, sounds quite deep.
Yeah, quite deep. But what I really like is you just no handholding at all. You're just literally exploring this kind of world, and then you're doing clues. You might see some clues that might lead you to some other things. Simple clues like there's a door that's locked. You find a crowbar, you open the door, and that way. To more kind of complex stuff when you might see photographs of the place and the building, and then in these photographs there might be numbers in there that might open a padlock to a door that you might lead to. So simple stuff, but there's no kind of like this is where you go or arrows pointing to where you are. But it tells a really kind of amazing kind of like narrative that's strange and odd, and it's right up my street. I love it.
Sounds good.
So I think I've just put it in now, so it's not up yet, but it'll be up in the next couple of days. And I reviewed it quite highly because it's only £5, I think, as well.
Oh, bargain.
$5.49, so it's worth it if you like a bit of a adventure. But that's it. In the rays of the light. James, what else have you been playing?
I played a strange game where it started. You wake up in the lower decks of a ship, and you're surrounded by an owl-faced human, a monkey-faced human, and a deer-faced human. So it's very anthropomorphic. It's Eastshade. I don't even played it.
I've played it on Game Pass, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I saw it on there. I thought I'll give this a go.
Yeah.
It's an open-world exploration type adventure game, and you play as a painter who wants to capture the best parts of the island on his easel. Because apparently it was his mother's dying wish to do so. But yeah, it's a really nice game because you wander around the island talking to these locals, and they're all very strange, but they're very human stories. And there's a lot of secrets to uncover in the land as well. And it's got everything really. You can craft, you can do quests. It's just, I don't know how to explain, but
I can't believe you're playing it.
Why?
I don't know. It's quite a big game.
It felt like a good game. Because I was playing it for a while. I thought, where's all my achievements? I've played this for at least 2 hours now. But yeah, it's really big.
Yeah.
As in the world.
Mm.
And it's good to find little bits of lore here and there. It's a nice little game.
It's a really weird game, this game, because it came out, and I think we reviewed it. I think Gemma might have reviewed it from the
I think you're right,
website.
yeah.
And it sort of came and went, and no one knew anything about it. Even with it on Game Pass, no one's really seen it, talked about it that much. It's just
bizarre, though.
Yeah. And it seems to be a lot of work's been put into it as well.
Yeah, and it's very out there.
Yeah.
But it's voice acted, which surprised me the most.
Yeah.
Is that won't be cheap?
No, no.
Yeah, some really interesting conversations and storytelling, as well as a couple of fetch quests that aren't that exciting. But yeah, it's a really different game.
The painting bit's good as well, isn't it? If I remember rightly.
Yeah. Once you craft the what do you call it, the canvas, you can paint any part of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it does it for you, but it still looks quite nice.
I don't know what you mean. I was doing it myself at home. I was painting.
But yeah, that's a Game Pass. So, you can't.
Yeah, good. Darren, what's your second one?
So I've been playing a bit of Dirt 5 this week. Seems it's on Game Pass now from Codemasters, which is really good fun. It's pretty easy to just jump in and out of. We're playing with a couple of the guys from the site as well, so it's always entertaining. But yeah, I never picked it up when it was released, but I think Neil reviewed it if I'm right, when it came out. And yeah, it's quite difficult to get to grips with some of the cars if you play a lot of Forza Horizon 4 like I do. It's a bit of different handling, but yeah, good fun. I've not touched the career mode yet, just purely multiplayer. I thought I'd better play something different because I've played a lot of Forza recently. So yeah.
I've done the career mode. I've started the career mode. The podcast bit is terrible.
Yeah, everyone seems to not get on with that, and it seems they've got some big names for it as well.
I mean, it does a job. It just has that kind of like.
What is it?
There's a podcast they have a podcast that is basically the career mode going. It's a bit like Forza Horizon in that sense, that someone, you're doing great. This person's an up and comer. He's brilliant, and it's meant to be.
Podcasts are rubbish anyway.
Podcasts are terrible, and
you do.
And it's all right. I mean, it's an all right game. It's an all right. Yeah. I've just done it. And it's okay. It's good, but it's nothing special, is it? It's not.
You're right. Yeah, it doesn't stand out. I don't not sound too harsh, but yeah, it's entertaining. It's good. Put a couple of hours in, but yeah, it doesn't, as you say, stand out in any way. I don't think.
It doesn't feel like a next gen game as well. It doesn't feel like I know it's on both, but it doesn't really feel.
It's an everything at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Darren. I played a game that I reviewed. I think it's on the site called Journey of the Broken Circle, and in this game, it's a little indie game, and in the game you play a broken circle, like a little Pac-Man, and you have to go through this world like a platformer, left to right, going along, and you can jump first of all, and you can roll, and then you might meet another friend, and the first one you might meet is a pine cone, and you talk to the pine cone, the pine cone joins with you, and now you can stick to walls as you go along, and then you might meet a balloon, and this balloon you talk to, and then you'll be able to fly. So that's the kind of premise that you're going on as John.
Sounds great.
Do you know what? It's brilliant. It's really good. It's hard as some areas, but it's brilliant. But what the kind of the story is about? There's a story there, and the world's beautifully designed, really indie, kind of beautifully done. But what the game is? It's a game about friendship. It's about anxiety. It's about depression. It's about, but not. It's not completely on the nose. That's what the dialogue's there, but through these broken circles and balloons who feels deflated and needs to be pumped up, and about people wanting different things in relationships and the relationships breaking out. It's done really well. It's really clever, but it is hard. There's some really hard bits in it. But it's a game. I think I gave it 4 out of 5. It's really a good effort. Not a good effort. That sounds patronising. It feels like
well done.
Well done. It feels like a really great kind of like bit of game making, especially for the budget they had and everything else. Yeah, good idea.
Isn't it quite cheap?
I think it is. Yeah. I think it's £8 or something.
I'm tempted to that. Yeah,
it's great. Really good. There's a terrible bit in it. I'm just going to describe it really quickly. That really plays your head. So you basically, at one point, the circle drops near some lava in a lava world, and he says, "I'm just too hot. I'm getting confused." So what happens is the controls get reversed. So going right, if you go right, it goes left. Yeah, it's like hell.
But still, it messes with your head. That.
Oh my god, it's
in
hard.
any game,
and especially when you have to jump at the same time. Precision jumping like that. Oh my god, that would drive me mad. But very clever. One more game each, I think. James, what have you got in the last one?
I did I played a couple of chapters of Call of the Sea.
I love Call of the Sea.
Yeah, I really like the puzzles in that. It's a story about a mysterious island. You play a woman who's going to find her husband who's disappeared, and throughout you find more and more clues as to what's happened to him, and I like the story, but I'm more interested in the puzzle aspect. There's always, so I say, clues as to what to do.
Yeah,
I like that.
it gets harder.
I've noticed that. But I quite enjoyed one where you had to piece together a ripped up piece of paper. So it's like a little jigsaw puzzle. It's only, I think it's in chapter 2.
Yeah.
And it was just nice and, again, chilled.
Yeah.
I'm loving these relaxing games.
I know, all these games are very relaxing, apart from Dirt 5.
Yeah,
And
not very
Kill
relaxing.
It With Fire.
Yeah, Kill It With Fire.
Yeah,
Apart from Darren's games. I think it's a
yeah,
theme.
I'm on a different wavelength this week, I think. Somehow.
But yeah, it's good.
On Game Pass as well.
I don't know if it actually got much acclaim for how good it is. But I'm really enjoying it.
It came out in December, didn't it, on Game Pass? It was just before Cyberpunk, or around the same time, I think. But yeah, I think it did well. I think it got some nice reviews. I think we gave it a nice review. Can't remember who did it. Maybe Richard. Yeah, good. I'm glad. Keep going with it to the end. It's great.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
I definitely.
I can't believe you're playing games. It's amazing.
I'm finishing them.
I know. This is madness. This is amazing. Darren, what have you got? What's your last one?
So my latest review, which has not gone live yet, but embargo is lifted, so we can talk about it a little bit, is Monster Truck Championship. So it was originally released end of last year, so they've optimized it quite quickly for X and S. And it's a Monster Truck sim type racer, so it's quite realistic, a little bit more grounded than your Monster Jam Titans and whatnot, but it's quite good. Again, kind of a similar vibe to Dirt 5, but it's monster trucks instead, so you have to get used to handling. You use one thumbstick to control the front wheels and the other to control the back wheels. So
God,
I know it takes a bit getting used to. So talking about if inverting controls is going to mess with your head, then this might do a little bit as well. But once you kind of get used to it, you can pull off all sorts of tricks like backflips and somersaults. So it's quite good. It's quite good. I'll save my kind of full thoughts for when the review goes. But yeah, it's worth a look if you're into monster trucks, I think.
I'm never going to play that.
Some people will just not be interested at all, and that's fair enough.
James, you going to play it?
No, it sounds too complicated.
It does, already just the wheels.
I want monster trucks to be drive, crush, and then just keep driving.
Yeah, this is more in depth than that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Some people are going to love it, right? Yeah. My last game is on the PlayStation 5. It's a free game. I think we mentioned it last on PlayStation Plus. I can't say it. What's it called, kid? Maquette. And it's a free game that's there. And I've spent a bit of time. Lovely. Another nice little puzzler. Just doing... just going through a lovely story and a kind of lovely world. What it does do, it plays with size really interestingly. So you'll be in a world, and then you'll have a model of the world in the middle, And then what you do is, say there's an object in the model, you pick it up, it becomes the real thing, big in the real world. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So so you might have something like a key that you might find in the model world. You pick the key up and it's this huge key, giant key that you can use for a bridge to get across something by placing it down. So it's really, really good. But what's great about it, they've got this kind of story in between about these two people who get together and then their relationship builds over the year. And one of the people is Bryce Howard. Have I got that right? Who's in Jurassic World.
Yes.
Yeah, she's one of the
redhead.
Yes, and she's brilliant. Of course, she's brilliant, and the relationship, it's all voiceover, is just really lovely. It's just really well done and written. And so it's a lovely, relaxing game. So if you've got PlayStation 5, it's free. Play it if you like to do. Sorry, I'm in the middle of that. And the last thing I go before going to the news is I am doing Hitman 3, which is a bit late as it came out in January, but I'm doing a sort of like Let's Play series of each level. I'm just going to put one out tomorrow. And I did Dubai, the whole walk through Dubai in chaos, but I did it. So I'm going to do one a week, I think. But I'm really enjoying Hitman 3. Paul reviewed it, and it's really good. It's really,
Yeah,
really
he loved
good.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's great. It looks amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I need to play that myself.
Yeah, it's
on my
really
list.
good. I mean, the Dubai level is like stunning. It's like, yeah.
Where can we watch that video?
You can watch it on the Xbox Hub channel on
Fantastic.
YouTube. Well
I'll
done.
be there.
Read that. Put it out tomorrow. Friday.
Seamless.
Good. Right, news. Now it's a bit slow still, but we've got a few things. Now the big one is the Bethesda. I can never say.
Yes.
What about this, Darren? What's going on?
So the acquisition has finally gone through. I believe the EU competition watchdogs have rubber stamped it with no conditions. So it's kind of all official. And they put out a bit of a statement to say Xbox, Microsoft, Bethesda, really excited to work together. They share similar values. They're going to kind of leave them and support them in terms of Bethesda making games and projects. So they're not going to intervene too much by the sounds of it, which is really good to hear. And then hopefully there's going to be some Bethesda games dropping onto Game Pass imminently, and we'll be looking at some exclusives down the line. But I think they've said some of the more immediate releases they're going to keep multi-platform, so they're not going to take them away from PS4 and 5 owners. But yeah, it's really exciting. I think it brings to the acquisition of studios to something like 23 under the umbrella now. So there's a lot of people on that team. There's a lot of potential in there. It's really exciting.
I mean, we said this before, but it's going to be a couple of years down the line. It's going to be loads of mad games on Game Pass, isn't it?
I just hope we're not saying that in 4 years' time.
Yeah.
In a few years.
I mean, I saw on Twitter this massive kind of hatred between PlayStation and Xbox people about this. Going mental about
I can only imagine.
But I think it's looking at the games that are coming out. I think the assumption is maybe like Starfield and the Elder Scrolls game, which we know are the next two new ones, possibly. That might be Xbox and PlayStation, maybe. But of course, if this happens, they'll be on Game Pass.
On
Xbox. And then after that, maybe it's Xbox exclusive. But of course, there's Deathloop as well, isn't it? Which is on the PlayStation. That will come over to
and
Ghostwire.
Yeah, it's
maybe
quite
not.
Horizon.
Because Starfield is the rumour. The rumour is Starfield's coming this year. That's the rumour, isn't it?
Is Starfield the one that's been coming for years? Or am I thinking something else?
Are you thinking of Beyond Good and Evil?
Quite a while. Right. I know what you mean.
No. But yeah, I think Starfield is a rumour that it might happen this year. That's their first one. I think they'd do that one first. Before the Elder Scrolls. That's the rumour. It's always
test the water, I guess, isn't it?
So
are we going to say we're going to make a prediction and put our necks on the line, or stay stum for now?
Well, I don't care. I always get everything wrong, so it doesn't make any difference. Starfield, October 24th.
There we go. You heard it here first.
221, yeah. And what games do you think we can see on Game Pass soon? What are we expecting to have on Game Pass from their back catalogue?
Quite a few of them are already on there.
Yeah, there are some, aren't there?
They've already got Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
They've got Rage 2.
Yeah.
Skyrim's
on there.
Dishonored 2.
Yeah. I couldn't think of anything more.
Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Fallout 4, is that on there? It was on there for a bit, wasn't it?
No, it isn't, I don't think, anymore.
That might come back.
So, yeah. We could get Evil Within 1 and 2.
Yeah. I like the second one, Evil Within. I enjoyed that.
And Prey.
Prey's
not on there.
No.
Yeah, that's good. There's another one coming out, I think, isn't there, Prey, at some point?
Yeah.
What else is there?
I think that's
Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
New Order.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
They are good. And if we're really lucky, we could get Brink from the 360.
That's a blast from the past.
Wow. Okay, but there's exciting times.
Could get wrecked.
That's it. Enough now. Exciting times. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens soon. October 23rd. Game. Now, this is for James as well, first of all, to talk about. Yeah, I think it's interesting. FIFA 21, people don't know, with the football game, there's Ultimate Team, and in Ultimate Team, they have a system where you buy packs and you put your cards, like things, if you get a big player, you can put on transfer market, and there's an internal transfer market that doesn't involve money, really. I can't go off and buy off online a Ronaldo, special Ronaldo for a couple £100 until now, because EA is investigating claims of an employee selling FIFA 21 UT cards online, isn't they? Where are they selling them, first of all? I can't remember.
I saw them selling them like in private messages.
Yeah,
like in DMs and stuff. Yeah, which is quite, well, because it's the black market of Twitter. And they were selling like icon cards. So like your Patrick Vieira's or Johan Cruyff's. If you really look at Dave Beckham. They were quite high prices.
But like £1,000 for one of them, isn't it? Each.
No, I think it was 1,000 for 3 icons and a team of the season.
Wow.
In euros. Which I thought it's a little bit pricey.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
But people will pay for it, won't they? This is what I'm interested about this story.
Yeah.
It's about this. People will pay money. It is mad.
All you have to do for the effort in and play the game. You can get all these cards by hard work and determination.
Yeah.
And that's what you should strive to do. You know, crime doesn't pay, guys.
But it's a very interesting thing, isn't it? Because you forget about EA, you forget about Ultimate Team and stuff like that. And you know, Ultimate Team is the ultimate, way of someone, a company making money. And EA make a lot of money from Ultimate
They make
Team.
more money from that than the game itself.
And it becomes this huge industry, and it's quite interesting that there isn't more of these stories. I think when Ultimate Team first came out, you could, I could give you a card, couldn't I? Is that right? I could swap with you.
People were using eBay to sell cards back then.
That's right, yeah.
And that's when they stopped it, doing person-to-person trading.
And why do you think why do they stop that?
Well, because people were abusing it. They were selling cards for ridiculous amounts of money.
But do you know why? But I think they were doing that to stop that because ultimately they won't make that money.
You mean they weren't getting a cut of the deal?
Or they wouldn't get if you can go online and go and get Ronaldo, you're not going to buy 20 packs to get Ronaldo, are you? Or the hope you might get it.
No.
True. No guarantee you get it that way, I guess.
No, and the whole point of it is you're not going to, like you said, you can either do it through hard work and all these things they do, or you can spend £1,000 and have Ronaldo. Bloody hell, £1,000. Imagine that. How can I justify that?
Yeah, to be fair, if you can't afford that, for a tenner, you can get Phil Jones and Harry Maguire.
Seems like a bargain when you put it that way.
And that's the real Phil Jones and Harry Maguire. Who'll come and play.
See you back garden.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Interested in that. Other news: Xbox Series S restocks in the UK. So, and there's some stock for the Series X trickling in to people. Look out. Catch it before you can.
Yeah. Sought after still, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's not caught up with demand yet. What is it? 4 months on, and still struggling to get the hardware out there. But
well, me and James, we play FIFA and we play on pro clubs, and we realise it because you can't play pro clubs on cross-generational, and it's not that many. It's not, you realise how many people haven't got it because there isn't that many clubs, is there, James?
It's only a couple of thousand.
Yeah.
If that.
Oh wow.
It's really bad. There used to be like 750,000 teams.
Yeah.
And now there's nowhere near that.
Nowhere near that. And it's because it's split that generation across,
I suppose what we were talking about earlier, that it doesn't really feel like we've we've realised we are in the next generation. Yeah, it still gets called the next generation, but it should be the current gen now, surely. So it feels like we're in this halfway house at the moment, and you can count the releases, proper next gen releases, on the fingers of one hand probably still. So it's a bit a bit of an interesting middle ground at the moment.
Yeah, it's really strange, isn't it? Because we don't know what's we don't know what's coming out past May, really, do we? It's we know FIFA, we know FIFA, Call of Duty,
regular as clockwork, yeah.
But again, we don't know. I mean, we don't know what's going on with E3 and all that stuff as well. So it's going to be interesting. And what are the new games just for those generation? For this generation on their own, without having to do a cross-gen game. It's going to be interesting. I mean, they're being made. They're all being made. They're all there, but it's just about when and also with COVID, when they can finally finish it and put it out. But it does feel weird. It feels a strange time at the moment. But we've played some great games this week. We've all enjoyed it. All these little indie games.
True. There's loads of games out there still.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Amazing. Other news. We've had some releases. Who's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Who wants to talk about that? I don't. No,
I was never
could.
into it.
You two are into it.
What?
Really?
Tell us about
it. Right, so basically they did a Turtles game that's a throwback to the retro side-scrolling beat-em-ups.
Okay.
So you've got a very old-school looking bunch of turtles. It looks so nostalgic from the little trailer that they've released. It'd be a bit like Streets of Rage in many ways.
Right.
And you play as Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello. And obviously you have to take down Shredder, because it's called Shredder's Revenge. We don't know much about it really. That's all we really know.
But you're excited about it, James.
Well, yeah, I love the Turtles.
Okay.
And especially late 80s, early 90s Turtles, before Nickelodeon ruined them. Yeah.
Dan, you excited about a Turtle game?
As I say, I only had a casual relationship with the series as a kid, but I must say I agree with James. When I heard the theme tune in the trailer, it did bring back some proper nostalgia. And I think one of the devs were involved in making Streets of Rage 4 last year, so it's got some good people on board by the sounds of it. So I'll definitely have a look when it comes out, depending on cost and whatnot, but I'm sure it'll be good for fans. It looks like it's going to be faithful to what people would want from the game, so I think it's only a good thing, really.
When's it coming out? Do we know? The future.
Yeah, it doesn't have a set release date.
Okay, good.
No, I don't think it does yet.
A couple more announcements. We Are Here Forever, announced for Series X and PS5 and PC. You've played this, haven't you, and Neil? James, have I got this wrong? The original.
I have.
What is
it? It's a great co-op series. You work together using walkie-talkies in the game, so you can see one aspect of a puzzle, and the other person can see the other side of it. Just describe what's going on in each room by the walkie-talkies. So it's really about cooperation to solve.
That's great. Is it? I've not played it yet. And is the originals on Game Pass?
They're not on Game Pass, but I think they are quite cheap.
Okay.
It's really good fun, especially if you know the person you're playing with.
Yeah.
I won't play it with a random. It'll be hard work.
You wouldn't play it with me.
Yeah.
It would be hard work.
Oh, definitely not. I think I just looked. It's £4.19 the first one.
Good.
Oh, well, can't argue with that.
It's easy gamer score.
Oh,
so give it a go, guys.
Okay, great.
it's on the list.
Another game that's been announced is the brutal survival game that's been on PC called Rust. That has spawned lots of streams. And it's coming to Xbox Series X in spring this year. So that's quite a big game coming, isn't it? If you like that type of thing. What do we know about Rust? Have anyone played Rust on PC?
Not, no, I've never kept up to date with technology enough to be a PC gamer, really. Console was always the easiest way through, but it reminds me a little bit of, from what I do know of it, a little bit like No Man's Sky, but kind of post-apocalyptic wasteland kind of survival experience. But as you say, it's quite a big title for PC, so it'll be good to see it on console, and see how it works with. It's all about playing with others, I guess, and exploring the environment. So hopefully it'll have enough people hooked from PC into console.
I mean, it came back on 2013. It started early access, didn't it? So it's going to be interesting. It will have hopefully a big group of people. It worries me.
I've heard of it.
Have you not heard of it?
Yeah, to Google it. When you mentioned it, and I still don't really know much about it. Apart from it's something to do with iron oxide and moisture in the air.
Yeah, whatever that is. It always worries me with these things. So it's like when we waited for ages for DayZ to come to console. And, that was the biggest thing, wasn't it? In 2000 and God knows when, 10 or something, 12. And then when DayZ came to consoles finally, everyone went, oh. It was a bit broken. It didn't look quite good. It was a bit thing. So, but hopefully they've got this right. It's going to be interesting. I'll be interested to see what that's about. Even though
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
And soon.
Very soon, spring. Robot fans. Just to let you know really quickly, we talked about robots here before. Amazon are developing a secret project. That's not too secret because obviously it's been leaked. On a home robot that is the size of 2 small cats. That's their description.
I have 2 small cats, so that works for me perfectly.
I love that, 2 small cats. Why don't they just say 1 medium dog?
Yeah.
Why do they say 2 small or something? 10 to 13 inches wide, and it'll move around the space, navigate an area, and just like a furry feline, as voice-activated assistant will roll about on its wheels. And I don't know. I think it functions with the other smart devices. Maybe I don't know what else it does. It carries objects. It has a waist-high retractable pole with a camera. Yeah. What I like about this. I know. What I like about this, it says Insider claims an anonymous source directly involved with the project says that people were very skeptical about the launch. These are people inside. About it possibly turn into another Fire phone. So yeah, look out, the robot fans. There might be another robot on its way. We'll be full of robots.
If it's not the start of Skynet, then I think we'll
be around. James, you excited about this?
I would be if it had arms. If it actually grab stuff, that'd be great.
You want it to grab stuff? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about
that.
Very
useful.
Don't know why you're talking about that, grabbing stuff. Okay, going to move on.
Not in that way, Gareth.
No, I know.
Come on now.
I'm sorry, I've lowered the tone. The last bit, fire has resulted in the loss of some EU servers. Who put this?
This was just something I saw off the back of Rust we were talking about. Apparently they've had a fire in one of their data centers only a couple of days ago, which is resulted in a loss of quite a lot of player data and server data, they reckon. Some of it that they can't recover, but overall it's not affected player numbers too much. So I think they're just kind of sorting through the damage to see what has been lost. But nobody was hurt apparently or anything. But yeah, quite a serious fire with serious loss apparently.
What game is it?
For Rust.
For Rust.
So we were talking about before, yeah. So bad timing for those guys, I guess, as well.
You'd be gutted, wouldn't you?
I know.
Spent 4 years on something all gone. But nothing they can do. Now, we've got a giveaway coming up, and it's for a game that we reviewed on the site, and it's called, I can never say this, Baobab's Mausoleum Grindhouse Edition. How would you describe this game, you two? How would you describe this game? I've been looking at our review, and I can't work it out.
It seems like a bit of a hybrid of different genres, really, from what I can tell. I think looking at it at first glance, you might be put off a little bit, but it doesn't give it its full potential.
We've given it a 4.5 stars, and I think who read it for us?
Johannes.
Yeah, and he said it was just like unique and really interesting. You can't describe it. He found it hard to describe it. So it's just a really interesting game and adventure. But the good news is we've got 3 codes to give away, and so not that much. And what we got, if details of what to do, I think all you got to do is really share on Twitter and our YouTube channel. But all the details are in the description on this description of the podcast, or on the Xbox Hub website. But it ends on Tuesday next week, so that'd be Tuesday the something, 12th, 14th, 15th, 16th. 16th of March, so get those in.
What day is it?
Yeah, we've got to rehearse this, throw this in. But there you go. What are we looking forward to next week, you two? Because we've come to the end of our time. Darren, what are you after?
So, talking of Bethesda, there's a incoming trailer for Doom: The Ancient Gods Part 2, which is the DLC for Doom Eternal, which is due to drop on the 15th. And fingers crossed to be some sort of indication of when it's going to be released as well. But I reviewed the first part of the DLC, and it was really good, but it was a bit of a grind. And for those who play Doom, there's plenty of marauders in there which are just make you want to scream at times, trying to take them down. So hopefully not too many marauders, but I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
Good. Okay. James, what about you?
Oh, so many things. Justice League next Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah.
The 4-hour cut.
And you can watch this now on Sky Cinema, can't you, for UK?
Yes, on Thursday the 18th.
Okay.
So, and then we do a full podcast straight afterwards. Is that right? No?
Yeah.
And they've got 3 nights of wrestling this week at 1 a.m. So that'll be interesting.
Oh,
Late night wrestling.
Good. We're going to do some Watch Dogs online on Sunday, aren't we, for a little bit to test it out?
Definitely.
I think. Yeah. So we'll have a little comment on that next week. And also, we want to say thank Zerono Games for the codes as well, for the giveaway. But Darren, it's been a pleasure having you. Will you come again?
Absolutely. Thank you for being gentle with me for my first time on the podcast.
Good
to have you.
Now, if we wanted to get hold of you, do you want to give us any information?
Yeah, certainly. So my Twitter handle is @27Darren. You can find me there and follow my reviews and stuff on Twitter.
Great. James, where can we find you?
At OKidUKO on Twitter and Instagram.
Great. You can find me at GB Bridie on Twitter and Twitch. But for now, I'll see you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
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 You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub, and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.